As promised, a prominent woman investor, lady investor, joins us, Punita Kumarsana, Managing Partner at Pacific Paradigm Investors. Morning, Punita. Nice of you to join us today in our studio. Well, that really is the first question. You know, where is the Nifty headed from here? Is this all a political hope rally, or are you seeing some legs in terms of valuations and improved earnings?
Well, I think to some extent, Indian market is not alone in the way it's performing. If you look the performance of India and some performance of several other markets, it's pretty much in line. In fact, over the last 7 months, India and the S&P, since actually August or so, they've been fairly correlated. So it's not, I mean, while we are all very focused on what's happening in India, if you look across the world, the trends are somewhat similar. In fact, if you look at what is happening year to date, the beaten down markets of last year, like Thailand, Indonesia, are up even more than India. So clearly it's not just a political, what I'm trying to say, it's not just politically led.
Okay, but you know, within emerging markets itself, that basket has actually seen a lot of outflows, but India has continued to see inflows. So does India remain favored, and is there any reason for this favor beyond the political?
Well, actually, you're right. India is, most people are, I'd say, are somewhat neutral in India. And while emerging markets are getting outflows, India is also obviously seeing outflows because they have to sell and redeem, you know, across all the markets. So to that extent, broader emerging market funds are also somewhat selling India, although on the margin, if you look at, they are more positive on India compared to some of the other markets. And that's mainly because there is a lot of expectation that things are going to improve. If you look at the consensus earnings forecasts and estimates, you're seeing a very sharp uptick in earnings for FY15 by most analysts. Some people are saying, you know, FY14 is about 12 to 14%, and FY15 is as high as 20%. So clearly, there is belief that things will improve. Same thing for GDP forecast. You're seeing about 5.2% this year, and people are expecting as high as 6.2% next year. And that is all predicated on a strong government being formed. And right now the expectation is that NDA will form the government, and therefore there will be stability, and they will really push through reforms and be market friendly. But if that doesn't happen, then we are in uncharted territory.
Okay. Punita, hi, good morning. So who could be, or rather which stocks could be the leaders of this, of the next leg of this rally?
You know, as I mentioned, even I think in my previous interview, I believe that if you want to play this rally, you've got, I mean, to obviously be somewhat balanced, because you don't know when this rally peters out. So you've got to have some defensive mix, but the valuations are strongly in favor of the industrials, the cyclicals. Just like India's valuation, or rather emerging markets valuation versus developed markets is at a huge discount. I mean, almost at like a 10-year discount. Similarly, the valuation of the industrial and the cyclical stocks to the defensives is at a big discount. So therefore, I think those are the ones where things are likely to improve if they improve.
Okay, but what would your own mix be?
I think my own mix is going to be a little bit more skewed towards cyclicals and industrials, and it has been that way. I think that's, and when you look at previous rallies also, you know, typically it's the, I hate to use the word low quality, but it's the low quality cyclicals and the mid caps that tend to do well when you have a very euphoric rally. And at this point, if things, if the election results are good, then we'll have that kind of a rally, and then the low quality beaten down names and the cyclicals will outperform. Of course, if we don't have a good outcome on the elections, then it's the defensives that are possibly, you know, going to again provide safety, which is why you can't be totally out of the defensive, but I think you've got to be a bit more skewed towards the cyclicals.
In the mid-cap space, are you seeing many opportunities? And if yes, what would the pockets be? Anything in mid-cap IT, mid-cap cap goods?
I think mid-cap cyclicals, you know, would be in the cap goods space, you know, power, equipment, select financials that one might see some benefit of the economic activity, particularly the private sector ones where the NPAs are maybe not as bad. So I think there is more value obviously in the mid caps than there is in the defensive large cap names.
Okay. A previous speaker was pointing out that some of the bombed out sectors, like for instance public sector banks, are in such a shape that the next government will have to have on its agenda something out of the box to pull it out. And the NDA, since that is the favoured one in the pre-election surveys, has in the past shown a penchant for even using words like privatization. Do you think that it will be able for the next government, and maybe even necessary for the next government, to pull off something dramatic in the banking space? For instance, the government can retain the same control over public sector banks with 33% shareholder control. That will require amendment of Banking Regulation Act. So can something dramatic be expected from the next government, and therefore a speculative buy into these stocks could really pay off?
At the moment, I think if you talk to various parties, I don't think banking is really on top of their agenda. It's really growth and improving that environment is more on top of their agenda. So I don't think they're going to jump in and first focus on the banking sector, is my view. I think they'll focus much more on infrastructure, and indirectly banking sector.
They may not have much time, since state-owned banks are running out of capital. But okay, what are they focusing on? Do you think therefore the NDA hope rally or the strong government hope rally should be infra played? What should be that speculative bet that things will improve?
My view is that I think it's going to be much more focused on execution and growth, and that would come obviously in getting stalled projects moving. So in that sense, it would be anything, particularly power. I think if you heard Mr. Narendra Modi's speech on the economic summit, he seems very passionate about the power sector. So I think that's a sector one would think things would be moving, because that seems to be something like he's done a lot in Gujarat as well.
Okay. I'm going to name 5 nifty stocks. You have to tell me whether there are any gains left, or would you advise accumulating any of these stocks? L&T, SBI, Reliance, Tata Steel and Bharti.
Well, L&T, I think yes, because L&T is still trading at a discount to its peak valuations, and things could potentially improve from here. With respect to the others, SBI, it's a proxy on the bank Nifty really, and of course it's got all the problems that all the other PSU banks have, but in a beta rally it has some potential upside. Bharti is a defensive in my view, and I think it's a very solid company. And as in when we see telecom sector is consolidating, I think it's
so
a
you picked out
holding.
L&T and SBI, not the others.
I'm not saying not the others, but I think you got to
Relatively more comfort.
Okay,
Yeah. All right, we'll leave it at that. Punita Kumar, pleasure having you with us on any day, but especially on Women's Day. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Happy Women's Day.
Thank you.
All right, and you can watch the entire conversation on moneycontrol.com in case you missed anything. We have to